The family will butcher 15 pigs, 100 to 200 chickens, and various other dishes. The crispy roasted pork, flavorful smoked buffalo meat, and stir-fried intestines are the highlights. There will also be bamboo shoot soup, and its broth is made with natural forest herbs. A key component of this traditional feast is the 100 liters of liquor brewed by the families themselves. Mrs. Li Meiyet, 35 years old, belongs to the Red Zhao minority, living in Dafin commune, Sabah. She married her husband at the age of 20. Even though they own a substantial plot of land passed down from previous generations, life for the family remains challenging. Their historic wooden house perches on the mountain, accommodating their family of four, which includes both parents and their son and daughters. The small kitchen, situated in one corner of the house, is equipped with basic cooking utensils that are worn out from years of use. The wood stove often fills the space with smoke, leaving pots and pans covered in a layer of black residue. Without a refrigerator, the family stores leftover food in wooden barrels and plastic containers, placed in the kitchen corner. Mrs. Yet's daily life starts at dawn with her farming tasks. She and her children walk confidently along the winding trails, tackling steep slopes, climbing hills, and wading through streams. On her back, she carries a large basket that sways with each step, sometimes feeling heavy due to the tools and produce she transports. Mrs. Yet's family rarely goes to the market to buy food. Instead, they mainly rely on what they grow. They grow rice, corn, sweet potatoes, cassava, and a variety of greens to meet their daily food requirements. In the fields, she uses a hoe to till the soil, rake the grass, clear the weeds, and prepare for the new planting season. After that, she digs up sweet potatoes and picks wild greens to prepare dinner for her family. After finishing work, children go home, and she continues climbing the hill to pick chayote. On the way, she meets her sister-in-law, Mrs. Meihe, the sister-in-law of Mrs. Yet. They go up the hill to harvest chayote together. Firstly, they fertilize the kohlrabi plants in preparation for the end-of-the-year harvest. They stand on their tiptoes, reaching out to gather the chayote fruits that grow on the trellis. This is a routine she follows every day, regardless of the weather. When fully loaded, their baskets can weigh up to 3 kilograms, filled with chayote fruits and produced from their farm. After arriving home, they enjoy jacking together. It's a pale golden fruit with a fragrant, sweet, cool and juicy inside. The two sisters-in-law often rely on each other when their husbands are out hunting or gathering herbs in the woods. During such times, they help each other by sharing the burdens of farm work and household chores. The traditional wood stove, a crucial component of every Redzao people's home, has logs of various sizes arranged skillfully under the crackling flames. Mrs. K puts a pot of rice on the stove, skillfully adjusting the logs to ensure a steady flame for properly cooked rice. As the afternoon sun begins to fade, the two sisters sit together by the wood stove, preparing their evening meal. They sit beside each other, picking through the freshly gathered greens from the fields, ranging from tender ferns to vibrant green papaya leaves. The two sisters speak in their ethnic language, the distinct dialect of Redzao people. They talk about farming, discuss crop management, and share their worries about their children's education, just like many families. The crackling sound of the fire from the stove combines with the bubbling of the rice pot, creating the sounds of the mountains in the peaceful yet hardworking days. Pumpkin soup is a familiar dish in the mountainous region. Mrs. K utilizes a sickle knife, a tool commonly found in Redzao households, to slice each pumpkin. The pumpkin soup, once prepared, has a golden color with the sweet, rich flavor of pumpkin infused with fragrant herbs, making for a warm dish on chilly mountain evenings. After washing them well, she cuts them into smaller pieces for the soup. In the mountains, with a cool climate all year round, Redzao families often prefer smoking their meat to preserve it. The meat is seasoned with lots of salt and signature spices, with mukhen and soy seeds, then hung in the kitchen loft, where the smoke from the wood fire gradually seeps into the meat over several days. This smoke keeps the meat from spoiling and gives it a unique, rich flavor that evokes the essence of the mountains. When they want to eat it, Mrs. It will take down a piece, cut it into smaller pieces with a knife, and grill it over the flames. As the vegetables touch the hot oil in the pan, a sizzling sound fills the kitchen. To combat the coldness in the high mountains, Mrs. It's family, like many families of the Redzao, typically adds a little more salt to keep warm during the days with freezing weather. Stir-fried fried greens is a traditional dish for the Redzao made with fresh, tasty greens picked from the fields and forests. The vegetables are quickly stir-fried over high heat, a bright green color deepening as they release the distinctive scent of the mountains. When night fully falls and the pot of rice is ready, filling the air with the smell of fresh rice, Mrs. It carefully sets the table. The family gathers around the warm fire. Each meal represents a moment of connection. Even if her husband is late, Mrs. It always prepares the table as a sign of hope for his return. When her husband returns tired after a long day in the forest, his eyes light up at the sight of his family waiting for him. These simple moments are overflowed with love and the joy of reunion. Under the soft glow of the kerosene lamp, Mrs. It carefully guides her child to learn and to write letters. The sound of the child reading aloud fills the room, mixing with the crackling of firewood in the stove, creating a cozy and serene atmosphere in the mountains.
Tạo không chưa kia rồi ổn lý con chữ chắc chập chua chạp chan.
Mrs. It says, I do my best to ensure my child receives a complete education, wishing for a bright future where they won't have to endure the hardships we faced. Despite our struggles and lack of education, I love my children deeply and I sacrifice my own life for their better future. By managing their daily struggles for enough food, Zhao's families also has to carefully save every penny to repay the wedding debts that have lasted for 15 years. According to Red Zhao tradition, a grand wedding symbolizes hospitality and community solidarity, which often leads families to borrow from relatives and neighbors to host a lively feast. As a result, young couples start their married life with the burden of debt, gradually paying it off over many years. Debt doesn't end with the parents. If they can't manage to repay it, the children will take on that burden. Mrs. K shares with us that she saves every penny she earns. There are times of good harvest when she feels a sense of relief for being able to reduce some of the debt. But there are also difficult periods when her income decreases, causing her to face increasing pressure from this traditional obligation. In the culture of the Red Zhao, marriages are usually arranged by parents. Mrs. K remembers her parents telling her, if you don't get married early, you will end up lonely. The couple came together without knowing each other beforehand. But as time passed, they learned to understand each other, adapt, and build a family together. Despite the challenges and the lack of freedom in choosing their happiness, Red Zhao women are always optimistic and strive to foster happiness in their families.